bottom right-hand side, our red Terran player, this is Team Liquid's TaeJa. And in the top left, our blue Terran player is TY from Triumphant Song Gaming, as we set up into the first game of this TvT. Now, you might remember my pre-show, I did kind of predict, I thought TY would 2-0 SOS. For me, that wasn't a crazy one. For me, that was expected. The one that I wasn't really expecting was maybe TaeJa to take down Rogue. I thought maybe TaeJa gets a map. But yeah, a little bit of an upset there. Let's see what happens in this TvT. I never really considered the prospect of TvT, and obviously TaeJa, he beat Cure the other day. I mean, he's been playing really good TvT, and need I remind you, the WSG qualifiers, TaeJa played in those, and he actually went to all 5 games against TY. If you didn't see that TvT series, it's about a month old, but it's on my YouTube channel, and it's a really good one. YouTube.com/WardiTV. It was a really good one, so if you're looking for some more StarCraft later tonight, I can absolutely recommend the last time TaeJa TY met. And again, like I said, I think it's gonna be pretty great. As we kick this off, we get this going. We do see an SCV here from TY, heading down to the bottom right-hand side. So TY heading down to the lower right, and just gonna be seeing the racks from TY in the main base number 2. So that's already telling us that he is going to be playing a 2 racks Reaper opening. We've seen this again develop a lot in TvT as of late, these 2 raxes in your base. It's great if your opponent proxies you. It's great if your opponent gets aggressive at all. It's also good at just creating some pressure on the map. It's best against a 1 racks expansion into the factory off of a 1 gas opener. But it's still okay against, the faster factory, which is coming down now, for example, out of TaeJa. Because it just gives you a little bit of map control. You don't go crazy on the Reapers, you just go to 3 Reapers, and then you kind of go into your factory. He could even, because he's scouted here, maybe say, actually, I kind of prefer to go in towards just 2 Reapers and then transition, but actually, no, he's already got the 1 Reaper out, so he's actually already onto, in towards 3 Reapers. Then he'll just go into a Marine, and what this will do for TY is it gives him a pretty safe way, because he's got a good Reaper count, to go into a good Barracks count, and obviously in towards Stimpack early in the game. And TaeJa didn't know about this yet, so he will very narrowly lose the first Reaper. He's just able to keep this alive for the moment. Really only just as it comes away down to the bottom right. A couple of Marines from TY on the way out. Going to be seeing a factory dropping down from TY as well. And that's obviously going to be his follow-up. So his factory will be later, but now we should see Reactor and Tech Lab on this racks. The only thing I see as a problem here is the fact that this barracks is right on the edge, so it's going to have to move for an add-on. And you don't really want an add-on on the edge of the base like this, because it's so easily sniped by a tank, it's so easily picked off by drops. So that's the only issue I see right now. So this pretty much has to be the Tech Lab for Stim, and this will be a Reactor. But I'd like to see this actually just take the time to fly like back over here or something. Oh, he's actually going to go Tech Lab. That's so dangerous still. If you get tanks here, you can siege tank Stim. I actually really don't like this position for TY at all. We'll see if TaeJa does anything about it. As, I mean, obviously, he doesn't really know about it yet, but if he does just end up pushing with tanks and then scans the menu, he's like, oh my god, Stim's so easy to kill. There really is a target, so, again, not a massive fan of that positioning. Either way, it's what's going to happen. As you do see command centers kind of come up at the same time here. TY and TaeJa are both morphing their orbitals in, so they end up expanding at pretty much the exact same time. And look at TaeJa going to go Fusion Core. So we saw in TaeJa Cure, which was yesterday part of TaeJa's qualification route to get to this stage. TaeJa did play a BC versus BC opening. There's going to be BC versus Fast Stimpack though, and this is obviously the BC opening TvT is not something everyone's super familiar with. It's just something only a few players have been doing, and only very recently. So I don't know how the Battlecruiser opening works out against Stim. In my mind, I'm like, well, he's got a lot of anti-air, he's got a lot of Marines. But what I actually think is that actually a Cyclone opening would do a lot better. And there's a Cyclone here. But something like Cyclone and Magfield Accelerator would probably do the best. Because Marines actually don't do much damage to the BC because of the armor, etc. Maybe with Stim that's a different story because there's enough Marines early on. I'm very interested to see how this goes. The thing is, it's going to be, obviously this is going to be mech continuing on from TaeJa, so he has a plan as to what he's doing next. But he's obviously on kind of a low ground unit count, so if that drop gets into the main and he's out of position, that could be deadly, because then as you try and bring a Cyclone and a few Hellions up to deal with that drop, the drop's just going to stim in and those units are just going to get absolutely murdered. So yeah, really interested to see how this turns out. This Battlecruiser still coming up in at the main base. A couple of Reapers and a Cyclone from TY sitting out the front. And the +1 attack upgrade from TY now coming into the main base as well, as we'll see another supply depot dropping down. With the 2 extra medevacs from TY still just on the way out, going to be gathering up on the front of the natural. And there's our Yamato cannon. Coming up about halfway done. I see the BC from TaeJa will fly in across the map, and Marines are going to be right underneath it, and this is what I mean. Theoretically, in my mind, I'm just like, I think Marines just killed this, and they kind of do. I mean, it's not dead yet, but it's obviously pretty low. Now he's going to start dropping the Marines into the BC, so it's a bit of a different story. Denies the combat shields, obviously can get away over to the side. So yeah, this first BC doesn't do a lot. I'm still... Second BC, can you do something there? Hey, this BC's in trouble, actually. He realizes he's got to get rid of this Cyclone, but he's not going to be able to in time. Great lock-on here from TY, and he's going to be able to clean the battlecruiser up, and that did not enough. Straight up fact, it just didn't do enough damage here. Now, TaeJa's moved these units across to maybe try and catch that Cyclone and save the BC. If this drop went across the map now, it would be pretty deadly, because there is not a lot at home. As he shows up here, and TaeJa will... Well, see the fact that TY has a 3rd CC finished, his own 3rd CC finished, but not in position yet, so slightly behind there. But also will realize there's no SCVs there, so he can't even do any damage just yet. So, good opening from TY. This will be Bio versus Mech, and we'll see how he continues to approach that with +1 weapons already out now. We've only just seen the extra factories finished, and I wonder if TY can identify that and say, oh, well, if you've only just finished your factories in production, maybe I really can do something pushing across the map here now that I've got +1 attack. There's only a couple of tanks, and if the Marines can spread properly, there's not a lot of buffer for those siege tanks either, so they could go down pretty quickly. If, you split one Marine ahead, that soaks the first round of shots. This could get messy. The one big thing is the lack of combat shields is obviously something you would have liked to have had here for TY, make those units a bit tankier, of course. Because if you stim right now and then get shot by a siege tank, you die. But if you stim with combat shields and you get hit by a siege tank, you'll soak a second shot. I don't think TY will attack. I think 2 tanks is just a bit too scary. The second BC obviously will not use its teleport to get here. It will teleport away from this position. Now that +1 attack is done, that battlecruiser just takes so much damage so quickly. I was going to be seeing the rest of these units gathering up on the front of the 3rd base. Medevacs will load up those Marines and go boosting in toward the main base. So away we go with this is some of these Marines will begin to unload. So unload Marines and then a stim in as the BCs are going to line up a couple of Yamato cannons. First one on the medevac, second one on the medevac. Those BCs still doing a lot here as these Marines will all go down. So all the Marines cleaned out. Vikings able to push the BCs away to the side. Cyclone able to lock on there for some extra damage too. This mule will drop down once again, just to keep the mining going on that 3rd base of TaeJa, who is holding on, but again, it does feel like everything so far in this game has been very TY focused, like TY this and TY that, and TY definitely seems to be the stronger force so far. Just going to be seeing the Hellions and the Cyclone coming out to the left-hand side, trying to see maybe what can be done. 2 starports coming up from TY in the main base. Again, the Marines and the Marauders setting up a little bit as well, trying to see, again, just what can they get up to here over the next little while. The Bio continuing across over to the right, and TaeJa coming back up into the center. Once again, the Marine gets shot down, the Bio force coming through, a couple of Hellions picked off. And this entire Bio force going to go out to the right-hand side to try, some way, somehow, get a little bit something extra dealt here. Gets a Reaper kill to start this off as well, as we do see the command center dropping down on a 4th base. I mean, TY, because he's playing Bio, has the map control and feels comfortable to expand around the map in position. And starting to build up those Ravens. Again, the extra starports, build that air control, really find a way to fight this mech army with the sky units. Air control really does come down to being everything a lot of the time in these scenarios, especially when you've got BCs, but the fact he's building Ravens because he can interference matrix the BCs, then they can't attack, then they can't teleport away. In fact, then what can the BCs do? Absolutely nothing. Then they die. So it feels like TY is just setting up into kind of the perfect setup here overall. TaeJa Yamato's down a sensor tower, but again, what have these BCs really done up until now? Really nothing, and TY in the center picks off a few Hellions as well. On the bottom side of the map, we see this planetary fortress morphing in as well. So again, the planetary up and running. You can see the Bio stepping forwards there, the Phoenix or the Hellions starting to fire, and the BCs, again, dealing decent damage to push the Bio away. So that Bio will be pushed out there away over to the left-hand side, and just going to be seeing TY all the way up the left-hand side with a few extra command centers coming down. And then on top of that, +1 ship weapons and 2-2 upgrades from TY dropping in from him as well. So getting those 2-2 upgrades rolling. We are going to be seeing the +1 ship weapons on the armory, also going to be set to go. Fusion core from TY in the back of the natural. With the marine here from TY setting up at the bottom. A couple of siege tanks from TaeJa getting ready to go as well. And again, this Bioforce looking to kind of come around and try and push a little bit. Gonna see this set of rocks already taking some damage. The rocks going down here. Tank shot from TaeJa is able to fire, and the Cyclone being picked away at already. The command center now dropping down, morphing in a planetary fortress as the Hellions, well, they will see one Hellion already dropping there. And again, this Bioforce able to pick off these rocks, opening up an area on the top side of the map of TaeJa sieging the tanks. You're going to see a lot of these medevacs loading up and going to start boosting forwards here. Hellions going to sit underneath, and I mean, this is just an attempt to bust through from TY. The tanks will do a lot of friendly fire to each other. Now the BCs teleport in to defend this, but they're going to be too far away for the Yamatos. So TY is just able to pick up some tanks here for a very cheap price. And now he's building BCs of his own as TaeJa goes into Thors, realizing that TY is starting to get real air control. TaeJa's like, well, what can I do against that? Well, Thors are the obvious answer. You know, Thors versus air units recently have really just been the go-to time and time again, as going to be seeing a little bit of bio stimming up to the top side here. Hellions going in after the SCVs, so a few SCVs going down. Again, this Marine and Marauder Force will be able to get rid of the next couple of Hellions here as well. So doing a pretty good job of this as the other Hellions come seeing down the bottom right. The tanks from TaeJa sieging up. And 4 more BCs still on the way up. Corvette Reactor, just more Raven building. What happens next, though, is as TaeJa comes up to being maxed out and TY gets maxed out, it really does come down to maybe trading off this bio slowly and getting more and more into that air army. I mean, you can look at it from TY, right? It is scary. We're talking about, what, 11 Vikings here and 4 Ravens? That alone is scary. Plus the fact he's now going into BCs. From this point, I mean, the BCs obviously will be able to fight air to ground, but even maybe just ranged Liberators could do well in this scenario, depending on what the Thors can get up to. Bio army TY wanting to press forwards, and a couple of the Hellions already dropping here. And the Thors and the tanks pressing forwards. I think when I saw Cure versus Maru with this kind of style, Cure played Bio and he did just build into air, but he really focused on ranged Liberators rather than battle cruisers. Intrigued to see how the BCs fare against these Thors. The big thing will be getting anti-armor missiles on the army. BC attacks, because they are quick and frequent, really benefit from upgrades and hence lack of upgrades on your opponent. So anti-armor on the Thors will be big to make these battle cruisers work out. So that's the one thing that TY's got to be looking for here. TY is going to be under attack from battle cruisers of TaeJa to the top side, and for once there isn't actually much to deal with that right away. And TY is actually going to give up this base here as well. These BCs have teleports, they're going to teleport instantly back maybe somewhere else. And if they'd gone to the bottom left, that would have been great, but I don't think TaeJa knows about that base yet, although there's a sensor tower there, which is a pretty good indicator of it. Interference Matrix is coming down, the Thors are being brought out of play, they kill a BC or two, but for the moment that's about it. And they'll try and run away. Obviously, the tanks can't unsiege from that position. There's one more tank over here. Interference Matrix on, and Order Turret's trying to catch these Thors as they escape off. Cyclone Lock-on's doing what they can, but again, the bio coming through, and the Thors still just trying to waddle out of there as best they can. That will be it for the moment. TY is able to push TaeJa back, but TaeJa's instantly remaxed, so he can afford what he's lost here so far. TY has the money to rebuild as well, may still be thinking what he wants to rebuild, and he will go back into a bit more bio. I think with what he's dealing with at the moment, bio is not a bad choice. There's not a lot of tanks on the ground, and the bio generally will trade well against Thors, etc. So I think it's okay to kind of be, you know, accompanying this air army that he's built up with the bio units. Feels like it makes a decent amount of sense at the moment as the BC is coming up and the factory taking a lot of damage. +1 ship weapons on the armory on the right-hand side there. We're going to be seeing the rest of this bio gathering up underneath the medevacs. And again, those BCs just flying around in the upper right. There's going to be another scan over here in TaeJa. This command center is on its way up, but not ready yet. Those BCs still flying through and it's going to go straight in towards the command center. The command center taking quite a bit of damage. It is going to drop down, so CC will fall. Meanwhile, Hellions and Cyclones, etc. firing away, and just going to be seeing, well, this BC getting caught up here. But this is TaeJa's army pressing forwards right now, and He just lost a base, so he needs to make something happen here. Again, I really just struggle to see what the bio does in all of this, because, or what deals with the bio in all of this from TaeJa. I think the bio is the one thing that actually does very well here from TY, and it will be the units that are left to clean up. Is there enough of it? I think so. It's mostly Marauders left. There's only one Thor left. It's a big trade out though. I mean, both sides lost a lot here. TaeJa's BCs, Yamato down the BCs of TY, and now we have a BC fight happening over on the right side of the map. TaeJa finally cleans it up. Both work players are still left with the 80 worker count. TaeJa has 5 bases, TY has 6. This bottom left base, the one that TaeJa did lose just a moment ago. TY's trying to expand up there. His SCV is moments too late though. He's going to try put an expansion on TaeJa's expansion. This base is already taken, buddy. Get out of here. TaeJa trying to expand bottom left as well. TY finds it. It's in sensor tower range. There's no way that should ever get up, as both these players have sensor towers up across the board at the moment and using that massively into their favor. Rest of this bio into the middle, as we do see BC still up to the top right side. TaeJa keeping these alive throughout the game. He has 24 kills between them, and a lot of those are, pretty significant units, etc., that he's picked off. I like what TaeJa's done. He's lost 1 BC. The fact he's kept his other BCs alive is really impressive, considering TY lost 5 BCs. I mean, he's been a bit more kind of upfront and personal attacking with them, sure, but even still. Thor's showing up here toward the top. On the bottom left, a couple of Hellions going in after some of the STVs as well. The bio army of TY pulling back for the moment. A few more tanks coming in from TaeJa, and I feel like that's one of the things that was missing because of the amount of bio we see from TY. It made sense originally to have a lot more Thors, but now you're looking at this and it's kind of back to just bio, 3 BCs and 7 Ravens. The tanks start to make a lot of sense again. Even if they can get matrices off on all of the tanks, it's going to be hard to do that anyways, because the tanks are going to generally be protected by Thors and BCs, right? So if the Ravens get there, it's probably going to cost you the Ravens. TY will have the mobility though, so as TaeJa pushes, he's instantly in the top right denying this. He could probably kill this planetary if he wants to as well. It's that or he tries to cut off reinforcements. You can see TaeJa will defend pretty passively, so it looks like he might just give up this base, knowing that he's going to have himself the ability to kill this base over here. There's nothing to really stop that going down. His BC showed up, and oh my god, he's going to Yamato down to the medevacs. Some Marines still left inside there. I'll tell you what, these BCs now on +3 armor, look at the difference this makes. These Marines are doing nothing to them, so the BCs are a really good defensive unit against this. As in the top right side of the map, we see the BCs from TY showing up. He made some more of those, and well, you're going to see matrices and order turrets coming down to try and clean this up. TaeJa losing a lot of his army suddenly, especially because he's trying to retreat through the bio forces. And now the BCs of TaeJa are outnumbered, and the BCs of TY will teleport in. They still have some Yamatos available as well. We'll line one up, Yamato for Yamato here, as we're going to see BCs taking a lot of damage. The tanks, can they survive on the ground? The last couple of Raven interference matrices will break on through, and TY has just turned around at 50 supply deficit in the last couple of moments. Suddenly, 40 army supply ahead and pushing forwards, and TaeJa is struggling to get units out to deal with this. The BC is especially an issue, as he lost all of his Thors. He has no anti-air, apart from these 6 Thors currently in production. So TY is doing a lot of damage. The BC's pressing in here. Thors coming through. BC's taking so much damage so far. What is happening? Another command center from TaeJa down in the bottom left. You're going to be seeing those Hellions trying to run up to the top side. Guess what? BCs are here, and they will turn those Hellions away as well. As we're going to be seeing the Marines showing up, a couple of the Hellions going down, and the rest of this army from TY is still settling into the middle of all of this. A few more SCVs coming out over to the left and going to maybe start to mine away this bottom left side. Remember that TY and TaeJa both lost bases here. TY lost these, and this one as well. TaeJa, he lost the top right. He's still okay elsewhere, but those bases are kind of low on minerals. Looks like as TaeJa survived, my biggest worry for TaeJa in the last few moments was the fact that I was like, oh my god, the units are dying, and are you going to be able to get enough up before TY just overruns you? The answer to that is, yeah, he kind of could. Extra Thors on the way out here. Those BCs still flying around on the bottom side of the map, and as they teleport up to defend, looks like they're going to join him from Thors to try and pick off some of the BCs here as well. TY doesn't have teleports available on all the BCs, hence the lack of teleporting away with some of them. Okay, it's just this one that's left without a teleport. It's there in a moment, but the Thors might just get it anyways. Meanwhile, TaeJa setting up over here again. The Raven's doing okay. The anti-armor missile will be big, and with the BCs teleporting over, it's again TaeJa being overrun. TY is going to be able to run this out. Kills off that Thor, and now pressing through. This Planetary Fortress trying to morph in is instantly going to be in some trouble as well. So Planetary Fortress will go down as that tries to lift up into the skies. Thor's going to get picked off there, and that will be TY taking game number 1 against TaeJa in a 20-minute really fun Terran versus Terran. What a great first map. In the bottom right-hand side, our red Terran player, Team Liquid's TaeJa, well, he put up a hell of a fight. And there was absolutely moments in that game where it looked as though he was going to win it out. Top left, blue Terran, TY, who I think overall probably played, I think you could say, the better game. Obviously he won, which would say so, but it always felt like he was a step ahead on the planning, right? Suddenly he has an air army, TaeJa has to build Thors. Suddenly he has a way to deal with the Thors, and TaeJa didn't have enough tanks. You know, interference matrices were consistently making TaeJa's fights, you know, ineffective, and TY kept, you know, constantly kept more bases up and running. And while there was a couple times where TaeJa got into good positions, TY always had an answer. You know, TaeJa did a lot of damage picking off bases, and suddenly, the next thing you know, that army is being abused by BCs, it has to run away, and it's trying to kite through the bio army. So overall, TY was just able to outposition TaeJa to take that first game. Really well done. I mean, really great first game to get us started here. As we're going to be seeing, this barracks is going to be finishing up in a few moments. SCV moving around, and again, just setting up to try and see what will happen. Rax will finish, just going to be seeing that coming down. Factory from TY will set up as well. There's the Reaper just starting on up, so getting that Reaper started with the factory behind it. And meanwhile, the SCV of TaeJa just coming across up to the top left-hand side to get a bit of a scout into this main base as well. Excuse me as I have a quick little drink of water. That last game was pretty hectic. So currently mirroring each other's build orders. TaeJa down to 3 workers in gas. TY's just gone back up to 4, so they are pretty much going to mirror each other up until the next expansion, which is going to be in a minute or so, and then maybe we'll start to see differences based on when they cut out of Reaper Hellion production. 3 Reaper, 3 Hellion is a very popular way to go, but it's not the only way to go. Especially if you feel like you're mirroring, you don't necessarily need 3 Reapers and 3 Hellions, and you could maybe go in towards a Cyclone a bit faster. There's more, you know, you can't punish as easily if it's 3 Reapers and 3 Hellions versus 3 Reapers and 3 Hellions. So, yeah, I don't mind this right now. Is actually both the players will trade off an SCV here early. The fight's happening over on TaeJa's side of the map, so TY is going to be the one to lose the Reapers. The Hellion shows up. Well, now there's actually reason. I mean, TY has to keep building Reaper Hellion to make sure he doesn't die to the follow-up because he lost a Reaper. And TaeJa says, well, I may as well just go into the final couple of units here and then start to put down the rest of my add-ons to set up from that point onwards. So we do just see the 2 Reapers and the Hellion coming into the top left-hand side. TY setting up on the ramp at the moment. I'm just going to be seeing the starport dropping in. So getting that ready to go. We're going to be seeing another Hellion from TaeJa coming out into the middle of the map here. SCV just setting up as, I mean, his SCV might make the difference. He'll take the first shot and we'll back away. In the end, it wasn't too bad, right? Just a little bit of damage traded out on either side. I think TaeJa will just sit here kind of happy just to build up at the moment. CCs are finishing that, and you can already see actually TY choosing to go Medevac and the Cyclone, which means you can drop across the map a bit and absolutely add up to just a little bit of extra aggression in all of this. So that is what we're going to start to see as we see actually fight just break out over here, and TaeJa's going to win that. But only until the Cyclone shows up. That's when he gets pushed away. So he wins it by what? You know, actually he doesn't win it by anything at all. Overall, it's 2 Hellions and 2 Reapers going down. So both players losing the same amount so far. And TaeJa, his choice is a Cyclone as well. Obviously a little bit later because he's built up into a different setup overall. And now he's going straight into the Raven. Now we'll see as a second Cyclone pops. No, is it not a second Cyclone? Is it really just going to be Medevac with nothing in it? TY trying to play some games, just trying to scout across the map then, I guess. Try and pick up some information. Okay, well, I mean, they will at the very least do that, right? Pick up some info, get a bit of an idea as to what's going on. TY bringing this down to the bottom right-hand side. As the Reaper comes up, it's going to be in some trouble as these couple of Marines are going to sit out over here. Reaper drops a grenade, that kind of loads up a little bit, pops off. And there is the Cyclone able to lock on towards the Reaper, so the Reaper will go down. So the Reaper gets shot down there, as again this medevac coming across down through the south side. And there's the Raven just again, passing that halfway marker. Siege tank and a couple extra Marines coming through. And again, overall, looking pretty darn good as the Raven is going to be finishing in just a few moments' time. Stim pack from TY, going to be done in a moment or so, and well, I said in a moment or so, starting up and going to be done in a couple of minutes or so. 3 CC is building up. TaeJa's going to be a little bit slower to his. He's also a little bit slow to Stim, but not too much. His rack's a little bit slower. But overall, just slight edge on the production here from TY. Mostly because TaeJa just built in a few more tech units, right? He's built an extra Cyclone, he's built an extra Raven. That's kind of where everything else is just slowed down slightly. So, you know, TY has the faster move towards Bio, but only by a few seconds, and TaeJa will have a lot more to help him out defensively with those tech units. As the Cyclones lock on, the Marines getting pushed away, the Siege tank will get lifted up, will be saved here. As you see another Marine or two dropping down. 1-1 upgrades coming up from TY as well, so setting that up. The rest of the army from TaeJa still coming to the bottom right. And the Orbital Commander TY in the main base just sitting around there, waiting to move out into position. I mean, they both should be able to move out into their third bases sooner rather than later. And there's a auto turret or two into the main base. The Raven from TY actually putting its energy out there and using its energy to harass. That means he will not have as much energy to utilize, especially when he's a Raven down as well. That could be a pretty big deal if TaeJa is able to take a fight or so. TaeJa's upgrades 1-1 starting, and again, that's another advantage that TY has. So TY may be in trouble on this attack, but overall in a better position in the game. As the game gets longer here, TY's in a better spot. But for this immediate attack, maybe TaeJa can do something that can maybe kind of offset that balance just slightly. I feel like he's going to be a bit afraid, though. He scans this. It's very hard to move across the map into this, right? And that's why TY's build just looks that little bit cleaner, just looks a little bit better. So Raven's still moving up to the top. Medevac going to load up those Marines, and they are going to come down the left-hand side across towards the main base. Combat shields coming through. We do see the SCVs being picked away at as well. So 6 workers going down, and Marines able to pick off those older turrets. So again, doing a pretty decent job of this at the moment. Marines and tanks from TaeJa moving out into the center of the map, and just going to be seeing again a few Marines just gathering as they will start to kind of, get set up in the middle of the maps here. But again, can TaeJa take a fight? Not really. He's down on upgrades. Up a bit of army supply. It depends a lot on the position. Right now, TY is going to be out of position. Obviously, TaeJa's kind of out of position too, but TaeJa has more that he's pushing across the map with. I like this more for TaeJa than I like it for TY, because TY is also turned around, and TaeJa knows he can go up here, so TaeJa is going to get straight into the natural expansion. There's one tank on the ramp that TaeJa will start to spread out against. The auto turrets from TaeJa are going to start setting up also. Kills 10 SCVs already, and he will clean off the medevac trying to drop on top of the tanks. And auto turrets are going to probably be needed here from TaeJa. I think auto turrets are probably the best way to go about this. He will lose his siege tanks though. And he's probably going to get cleaned up, but he's already killed 16 SCVs, so damage is done. And obviously a lot of the army went down from TY as well. This wasn't a free pick-off. TaeJa gets the Raven at the end, and his own Raven survives with a few units. Wow. Well, actually, overall, I think what we see is... I think overall what we'll see here is that TY is down a little bit of work count. TaeJa's up a little bit in army supply as well. I mean, TaeJa just overall taking the advantage here, I think. Two medevacs going up into the corner. 2-2 upgrades way further along here from TY. TvT upgrades way further along here right now than TaeJa has them. So TY still has some ways back into this game, and TvT definitely, I think, the matchup where you have the most comebacks available as this Raven goes down now. So that gets picked up as we do see a couple medevacs coming down the right-hand side. Coming all the way out into the center here. And TY. Well, what can he do? TvT is a matchup where you can come back easily because it all comes down to position. And to make a positional mistake, it happens a lot more in TvT than it does in other matchups because it's so dependent on that positioning. It's much easier a mistake to make than certain other mistakes that you're relying on as the player is trying to come back into the game from your opponent. So, as TY presses onto the map, he's already trying to look to just force TaeJa around in certain spots, etc. Honestly, TY is not that far behind on supply anyways. A few workers still, a bit of army. It's absolutely playable though, still for TY, right? And it also could just come down to one single fight. Marines coming through, getting some damage. A tank will siege up here, and again, the tank's just going to move up to this high ground. A few more Marines from TY stemming forwards. Command center from TaeJa dropping, and we do see the two Liberators are going to come across. They're going to siege up, and already the first few SCVs will be in a lot of trouble here, so work is already going down. And this is, I mean, this is a great way to get back in the game from TY. A couple of harassing Liberators that are distracting TaeJa, maybe opening up position on the map, and actually getting damage done too. This one in the main base is still around. This one actually escapes alive as well. So TaeJa's losing 8 workers from this in TY. Remember, he has 2-2 against 1-1 at the moment. He's stimming in as the tanks of TaeJa are on siege, and now he's in position to siege the 4th base. And that's a very difficult response to make from TaeJa, because he's not in a position where he can shut down these tanks in any way, shape, or form. He doesn't have Liberators out or anything like that. TY's put himself in a great spot here as these tanks from TaeJa are going to go down. Does he have the vision? He lost it. He needs a scan. Oh my god, he should have killed that tank there, really. He should have still been able to kill the tank. There's 3 tanks in the back, though, and that's why the Marines can't really press in. So TY losing a little bit trying to go for that. SCVs will repair up this planetary fortress. There's a few Marines trying to drop on top of the tanks as well. So TaeJa is making a bit of a better defense out of this than I thought. Now he's actually going to swarm up to the top side. Now he's got 2-2s, not afraid to take a more forward fight. He does all right there initially, cleaning this out, and TY will drop in supply. A little bit more being picked away at here as we do see the Marines coming around through in toward the center. The tank fire from TY. Good for a little bit of damage initially. As those tanks will unsiege and the Marines will back away. Tanks get lifted up and brought back with this, as we are going to be seeing the 3-3 upgrades coming through, and the Marines able to get underneath, and that's going to be a dead command center. So command center will drop there. And as you do see the Vikings and TY pulling back, and it does feel as though TaeJa, with their ability to clean up across the map, he's now a base ahead. Put himself into enough of an advantage to just move across the map, and now here we are as you do see the tsunami of TaeJa moving around. Liberated from TaeJa here as well. 1-0 for TY, so if TaeJa takes this, we get a game 3, which of course could be very exciting with how TaeJa is playing at the moment. He's playing some great Terran versus Terran, I gotta say. Some great Terran versus Terran. Well, those Marines from TY setting up, tanks firing, and Marines moving around. Liberator setting up around the front. 2 Liberators and the Vikings setting up around the front. Army from TaeJa pressing up through into the center, and I mean, TaeJa's numbers right now are great. There is going to be a slight upgrade advantage for TY, plus 3 armors about to finish. Liberator's trying to set up here from TaeJa, and he will lose one of them already. Is he going to just go up this ramp into tanks? That'd be kind of crazy. The Vikings trying to get into more of an advantage. The tanks here are actually covering quite well, but one of them is very low HP, and he will lose the HP war on some of those tanks, and Viking-wise, it's pretty even in the skies. Overall, TY is just losing a bit too much, especially not getting the 4th base mining until just about now, which is actually the main base relocated as well. As desperation maneuvers here from TY and TaeJa. If he just keeps trading, and as long as it's not like bad trades, he should be alright here. He's going to lose another siege tank, but then again, he's starting to win out in the skies. So the Liberator sieges, and we'll get a tank on the right side. On the left side, these few Marines are starting to break through as well, and he's also going to progress fire down the Viking. I like that because I think anti-air is really beginning to be the issue more than anything for TY to clean up Liberators. It looks like this is going to be it, guys. The new 4th base goes down. Or the new 4th command center. This is a 4th base taken at the moment. TY will GG out. He just doesn't have a way to stay in this, and TaeJa is making another series here, happen for him here today, taking this again to a game number 3. As in the top left-hand side, our red Terran tying it up. Team Liquid's TaeJa. Bottom right-hand side, the blue Terran from Triumphant Song Gaming. It is TY. Game 3, setting up at the moment here on Ephemeron. TaeJa's really showing up, you know, bit of a quiet last year from him when he started to return. He played in a couple of events, he did okay, he qualified to a GS. Did he qualify to a GSL? I can't remember actually. I know some of the players that returned qualified to GSL here and there, but I think he did play in a GSL round of 32 and that was it. But recently, the last couple of months especially, TaeJa has shown up and really just played some like crazy good games. Like recently, he has just been able to play really good run through the WSG qualifiers. I mean, that was a series against TY that went to 5 maps that knocked him out. You know, I mean, these qualifiers here so far, last couple of days have been very impressive from him too. Obviously, the first match of the day, very impressive win for him. TaeJa looking good, still not pristine, maybe still not like the cleanest, best Terran in the world right now in terms of his gameplay, but a contender, which is really exciting. Really exciting to see someone coming back from the military, maybe not having instant success, but continuing to fight, continue to practice, and now, you know, starting to see that success actually kind of show up in their games, show up in their results in these events, these qualifiers, and all the rest of it. Pretty awesome as the SCV comes into the upper left-hand side. SCV of TaeJa coming back up towards the natural expansion, then factory setting up from TaeJa 2, so getting that ready to go. And again, Reaper and the SCV just sitting out the front as this Reaper of TY gonna go patrolling. Also trying to see a little bit more of what is happening. So command center on either side of the map setting up in the natural expansions. The 2 Reapers of TaeJa heading down to the bottom right. Command center going to move over. I'm going to drop down into that natural as well. So we'll be dropping that down. Orbital command starting to build up also. The 2 Reapers coming up to the top left-hand side. Again, Starport just building on either side of the map. Tech Lab dropping down on the barracks and the factory, and so far so good. Similar builds early, like I mentioned. It's not been that super fast factory, it was just 1 gas early. And Starport jumps to a Tech Lab, and Hellions reactoring out from TaeJa, and from TY it's different. He's gone into the Cyclone, so yeah, a little bit of a different way to open up here. And TaeJa very greedy. Single Reaper into the reactor after the expansion, but he's gotten away with it. I mean, in fairness, it's a kind of a larger map. I mean, TY didn't even scout. TaeJa, sorry. TY's setting up into the Rectus Hellions, and TaeJa's gone into the Cyclone Serra. I've messed up the player names there. So sorry, TaeJa's obviously in the red, TY's in the blue. Apologies, as we have the Raven on the way out from TY's though. So TY getting a Raven going. Some Hellions continuing to the top left-hand side, and TaeJa with a few units here just setting up in the front. TY getting ready to maybe try and push in with those Hellions, make something happen. I honestly feel with the Cyclone, though, you don't do much, and good movement with the Marines to minimize the splash damage there. Nice little Reaper Grenade, pop some units around as well, and while this is probably going to be some Hellions left over, it's not too many, and the SCV's killed. It's not really adding up very quickly here at all. A couple workers down. I think that's fine, right? You lose 2 workers, a little bit of mining time, but you kill off all of the units, and yeah, okay, you kind of lost some of your units as well. Resources lost is pretty even though, so overall, you didn't lose too much, and I think TaeJa is completely fine with how this played out in the early stages. Raven comes in and drops an auto turret down, which will actually get 2 more SCVs and a Marine. A little bit of damage, actually got some damage on the Raven as well of TaeJa, so TY will be able to put a little bit of pressure on. Again, there's that Raven of TaeJa just coming up and building up in the main base. Elsewhere, 3rd CC will come up from TY. So TY building that 3rd CC up and running. The Marines gathering in the main base as well. That 3rd CC of TaeJa will finish. That'll be able to perhaps lift up and go down to the 3rd base. And again, Raven of TY setting up around the bottom, having a little think of what to do. So again, 2 Ravens and a few Marines there in the main. Just going to be seeing the 2 Engineering Bays dropping down on the natural expansion. So again, a couple of those Engineering Bays start. The Siege Tank of TY will come down and is going to siege up as well. So setting that up on the natural too. 1-1 upgrades currently just on the way out. TY setting up for that as we have Engineering Base from TaeJa building in the back of the natural also. There's our Orbital Command, going to drop down into the 3rd base. TY just a couple workers lead. Neither of them really have the army advantage to go across the map and do anything. Similar to the last game, TY is just that little bit faster on getting into the bio play. The barracks online a little faster, the stim pack a little bit quicker, upgrades a little bit quicker. Not by as much, well, the upgrades aren't ahead by as much as the last game. The stim pack's ahead a little bit further. Always interesting. This time TY obviously has 2 Ravens of his own as well, so we'll see what he can do with this as he pushes across. The 2 Ravens allows him to be aggressive as he comes to the top left-hand side. As the tank is able to pick off that first Marine. So first Marine will drop. 3 Vikings and 2 Ravens coming in towards the front here. And the Marines hanging out with a few tanks as well, trying to see what they can do. So just setting up in the upper left. A few Marines able to pick off an SCV or so. 1-1 upgrade still coming in. Again, just going to be seeing TY pulling back through to the center once more here. Medivacs from TY will go over to the right-hand side as the turret drops down and a couple of SCVs being picked away at. I mean, 5 workers down at the moment. 6, 7, 8. These, oh my god, these auto turrets doing a lot. 10 workers killed. Well, that works, huh? Bunch of auto turrets. Now this next Raven's like, well, I want a piece of the action. This first Raven alone, 10 workers killed. It's just nice because it means you still have a Raven to help you play defensively if you need some matrixes. So that's one of the big benefits here. In the end, the worker count's still the same, but it was something TaeJa was getting ahead on, so nice for TY to be able to pull that back a little bit. So we'll see our Marine Tank Army from TY. That will pull back down to this centralized position. A couple of Ravens coming in overhead. Combat shields about to complete, plus 2 armor on the way on the Engineering Bay. Still just the 1-1 on the way from TaeJa too, so that's coming up behind the natural. And our Ravens, our Marines, our tanks, all of this pushing around this left-hand side. That 1 Marine from TaeJa is going to get picked off pretty quickly. Tank's able to shoot him down nice and quick. And there's our +1 vehicle weapons also coming through on the armory. So again, that +1 vehicle weapons started on the armory. And elsewhere, elsewhere, all looking pretty good, right? A little bit of Marine tank force pressing into the center from TY also. So the army of TY coming down to the bottom side here. All the way down to the bottom left, and just going to be seeing the Marines, the tanks, still trying to see a little bit more of what is happening. And there's our army of TaeJa setting up out in front of the 3rd base as well. So just seeing TY coming over, a little bit of damage. Game calms down a little bit here as the combat shield's finishing up from TaeJa. That's something he's been missing for a long time, man. So just forgetting about that upgrade. Tell you what, he actually didn't start 2-2 for a while either. So TaeJa has definitely been making a couple of mistakes here along the way with some of the upgrades that should have really been able to get going a little bit sooner. Army of TaeJa to the left, and we'll pick away at those rocks. The forward command center from TaeJa setting up as well, and in the top right, TY with a few Marines, just a little bit of a counterplay. Didn't see a lot of dropping around so far this series, like a few like counterattacks, etc., but not really just like drops like this. As he comes up, he can absolutely cancel this CC, which is nice to slow down the 4th base. I mean, TY is already on a 4th base, so again, a lot of the earlier advantages starting to ring true for TY. He's up about 14 workers as well at the moment, so he is looking pretty good. TaeJa around to the left side is trying to see what he can do. Tanks sieging up once again as we have got TaeJa moving into the middle of the map with the rest of his units. So all of this gathering up. Again, that command center in the forward 4th position. Tanks still staying siege to the left then, as we do have the few Marines simming into the middle of the map, and TY just always counterattacking, always looking for opportunities to deal damage. I mean, it's going to be a cancel on this base again, right? You know, how long can you keep TaeJa off the 4th base for? TaeJa being a bit greedy again, still trying to place it in position. But again, is that goal, you know, it's not wrong too, because it should bring him back in the game. Now he's going to kill off maybe 2 siege tanks here. I mean, that's a massive pickoff, right? You get a couple of siege tanks. TY's not paying attention. He's really concerned about TaeJa's army moving in over here, and because of that, he's not able to kill that tank. Although he might actually still get it, right? He's going to kill the Marines, and the tank's on its own against 2 Marines. Tank goes down. The Marine attack from TY continues. TaeJa then losing units, not able to do anything on this side because TY took the further back base. TaeJa's really struggling to push into anything. And now as TaeJa's focused on the left, TY will also expand to the right. So TY just staying a step ahead of TaeJa and saying, well, if your army's here, if you're pushing like this is how I'm going to expand. So revolving his expands around TaeJa's play at the moment, making sure he can keep his expands up. And TaeJa at this point starts double CC on the 3rd. So he knows he needs to double expand here, basically. I mean, triple expand. He's going to put another CC down on this top right location. I mean, TaeJa is on maxed out armies, so there's still potential for TY to mess up a fight, and then maybe TaeJa can obviously put himself in a good position. But right now, TY maxed out is already building up a really significant bank advantage. So looking for that as these Marines here a little bit outnumbered, and actually TY will lose those, so just sticks around a bit too long. That's 20 supply, TY just loses. So it's little picks like that TaeJa needs at the moment to just help him out a little bit. Remember, he has got an overall larger army, but less workers means that his bank will build up that much more slowly. That is obviously one of the bigger issues, as we have TaeJa still setting up at the front, pushing down the right side. His tanks of TY moving across to the right as well, as TY will go up the right, and again, this army of TaeJa currently hanging around in that forward position. TY's Marines going all the way to the top right, and still Vikings and a Raven from TaeJa setting up as well. Wondering just what those might get up to here as the units will come down the right-hand side. The Marines are going to go stimming forwards and already going to go and pick our way out of command center here. As command center goes down, SCV picked off. The other Marines pressing in. Just going to be seeing those Marines of TY lifting up and going up around the top side. Vikings, Ravens setting up, Liberator will set up as well, and just going to be seeing the tanks able to pick off a depot. Again, that Raven, that Liberator able to just push that siege tank back a little bit, and TaeJa Marines stepping through the center then as tanks firing away. Anti-armor missile dropping down, and we're going to see the Marines getting covered pretty heavily here. TaeJa's trying to push through the middle, and it just doesn't work at all. So TY able to do really good damage again, just stopping TaeJa from coming down that bottom right side. TaeJa finally getting to 3-3, and that's obviously one of the big issues too. But now as the Viking count is massively in TY's favor as well, it's just an extra reason that TY is just going to look good closing out this game. Is why he's got the Liberator, able to be aggressive, and TaeJa not doing much about it. Here's the rest of the Liberators coming up. Wait, where are the Vikings? They need to actually come into play though before the Liberators get shot down. That was just a little messy. I mean, he's still actually killing off a lot of the tanks in the center, so it's not a bad thing. As TaeJa will try and loop around the left-hand side, try and flank in a bit, but just again, look at the supplies. TaeJa down by 30. The banks, TY up massively in terms of what he can rebuild off of these fights. Air control, TY's favor. No, everything is just TY right now. He's got better upgrades on the mech weapons. He's got better upgrades on the vehicle plating. And now he's building BCs because he's confident with his air lead. And building BCs really is just the start of the end here, I think, for TaeJa, because he's kind of behind, and BCs are not a unit that are easy to play against once you're already behind. TY will still play it out slowly, just, hanging out in the center of the map here. These Marines will stim up and look straight away to try and pick off a Liberator, which backs away. Now that tank shot from TaeJa firing, and TY will scamper away over to the left. Marines loading up into some medevacs again, and just going to be having a little bit more happening. Marines going to be stimming forwards, tanks firing away, just going to be seeing the missile turret firing, and medevac taking some damage. Liberators going to be sieging up in front. We do see the Vikings coming down the right, and VCs will teleport in. Nice little anti-armor interference medics is there, so TY can clean up more easily, just losing as little as possible. TaeJa will take an opportunity to break down some of the structures on this right-hand side. I don't think TY really minds. Yes, this base might be in some trouble, but hey, it's been mining really comfortably for a good long while now, so he's gotten value out of that, and honestly, I mean, he's going to attack up towards the natural while also sending an army to deal with this. SCVs at the moment just going to pull in. Vikings will land. But yeah, I mean, these units pushing up here are going to make life difficult, and TaeJa's going to be running into sieged up tanks here to try and defend it. So these Marines are going to go down very quickly. So the defense of TaeJa not looking pretty. Now he's got unsieged tanks up here as well. TY is still just keeping his air units back, and eventually will probably clean up whatever TaeJa has over there. TaeJa losing way too much over here. Like, okay, maybe eventually he's going to start like cleaning it out. But again, TY can rebuild off of these losses, whereas TaeJa just cannot afford to. TaeJa will probably maybe shut down that planetary, maybe not. The BC's showing up now, so those couple tanks going down. The Vikings were here before, but they pulled back to help in the top left, which just opens the opportunity for TY to come in and play cleanup as well. Vikings pushing through. The battlecruiser gets shot down. No teleport away in time. But now the rest of the units just showing up from TY to push into the main. So now he's going to start shutting down production. And TaeJa really is in some trouble here as that first siege tank gets shot down. This orbital command and the natural is dropping. These few Marines from TY moving around as well, and the Vikings still up in the sky, looking to see what they can do. As they'll drop down, they'll pick away at a few of these Marines. And the rest of these tanks setting up as well, sieging up there, and it looks as though TaeJa really is on his last legs at the moment. We'll actually pick up a couple of Ravens, but there's just no answer to the battlecruisers. These battlecruisers are killing everything, and well, here comes a couple of the Vikings showing up. Now they're going to get anti-armored as well, so well, actually, you know what? These Vikings might overrun the air army. I actually thought there was a little bit more available there for TaeJa. It's closed. The anti-armor missile actually means the Liberators do pretty well against them. Yamato dropping down, the BC's turning. All right, the Liberator is actually going to play cleanup over there. So even that doesn't go TaeJa's way, and TY will close out the series 2-1. Moving on through to the next round, where I believe he plays against Sue in a best-of-5 qualifying match.